In the previous video, we have presented a general review for time varying electric and magnetic fields, or the Maxwell equation of time varying electric and magnetic fields. Now we are going to talk about a specific case for time variation, which is time harmonic field. In time harmonic field, we mean that the field is varying in time as sinusoidal function, which can be sine or cosine or e to the power j, omega t, where omega is the radian frequency. Omega here is 2 pi multiplied by the frequency, or 2 pi over the period time t, where t is a periodic time. So, in special case, if the time variation is time harmonic field, the electric and magnetic field can be represented as a function of x, y, z, function of space, multiplied by cosine omega t plus phi. It can also be represented as sine omega t plus phi. Alright? So, in this case, the time dependence is sinusoidal, and this sinusoidal function, what we are calling harmonic function. Effectively, this harmonic function can be represented as a complex phasor as the real value of e to the power j omega t multiplied by e to the power j phi. Effectively, e to the power jx is equivalent to cosine x plus j sine x. So, if you are going to take the real part here, it would be cosine omega t. And if we add e to the power j phi, so e to the power j omega t multiplied by e to the power j phi, and we are going to take the real in this case, it would be cosine omega t plus phi. Now we are going to assume that the value or the amplitude as a function of x, y, z, or function of the space multiplied by the phase angle phi, it would be defined as the phase of electric field. So in this case, we can say that the instantaneous electric field as a function of space and time is equal to the real part of the phasor electric field multiplied by e to the power j omega. This representation is known as the phasor representation of time harmonic field. So in this case, we can keep in our mind that the time variation is e to the power j omega t, and we can perform everything related to the derivative with respect to the space on the phasor quantity e as a function of x, y, z. So, assuming that the electric field has x component, y component, z component, and each one is represented in instantaneous time harmonic field, so the corresponding phasor electric field would be the phasor quantity of the x component in x direction. It would be E1 multiplied by the phase 1 e to the power j phi 1 in x direction, plus E2 multiplied by e to the power j phi 2 multiplied by the unit vector in y direction, plus this should be E3 to the power multiplied by e to the power j phi 3 multiplied by the unit z direction. So this is an instantaneous form for the electric field as a function of x, y, z, and t, and this is the corresponding phasor electric field as a function of xyz only. And we are keeping in our mind that the time dependence is e to the power j omega t. Okay? And to obtain the instantaneous field, we are going to multiply the phasor field by the time harmonic function and taking the real part. Okay? So in this case, if we are talking about the average value of the electric field for the time harmonic field, the average value would be 1 over the complete period of the cycle of the time harmonic field. As I said, this omega is 2 by f, where f is a frequency, and f equals 1 over t. Okay? So 1 over t, the integration from 0 to t, e dot e dt. So by taking the dot product, in this case, the x component would be multiplied by itself. It would be e1 squared cosine squared omega t plus phi. And the y component would be multiplied by itself. So e2 squared cosine squared omega t plus phi 2 plus e3 cosine squared omega t plus phi 3. So e dot e in this case would be as this. Now, the integration of cosine squared omega t over a complete period, it would be 1/2. Effectively, this integration is quite famous in electric circuit, so I'm not going to discuss in more detail, but the integration of cosine squared function or sine squared function of omega t over a complete period, it is just 1/2. So the output of this integration would be of e1 squared plus e2 squared plus e3 squared. So it means that the average of the instantaneous electric field equals what? Equals the average of the phasor quantity. So if I'm talking about the phasor quantity, sorry, half of the average of the phasor quantity. If I'm talking about the phasor quantity, E as a phasor dot E conjugate, E as a phasor dot E conjugate, it would be E1 squared, because the conjugate, it means that the imaginary part would be interchanged to E1 multiplied by E to the power j phi 1 multiplied by E1 multiplied by E to the power minus j phi 1. So E to the power j phi 1 multiplied by E to the power minus j phi 1, it would be unity. The remaining part, it would be E1 squared. In a similar way, E2 squared, E3 squared. So E1 squared plus E2 squared plus E3 squared is equivalent to the phasor quantity E dot E conjugate. So the average electric field squared equal of E dot E conjugate. Or in other words, we can say that E dot E conjugate is the magnitude of the electric field squared. The magnitude of the electric field squared. So the magnitude of the electric field squared is the magnitude of the x component squared plus the magnitude of the y component squared plus the magnitude of the z component squared. So E average squared equal half the magnitude of the phasor quantity squared. So in other words, we can say that the magnitude of the electric field over square root 2, the magnitude of the electric field over the square root 2 would correspond to what we are calling the root mean square of the electric field, which actually the component which correspond to the power or the energy in the circuit. So, according to the average electric field in time harmonic fields, we can say that the root mean square value of the electric field equals the amplitude of the electric field over the square root 2. The root mean square value of the electric field equals the magnitude of the phasor of the electric field over square root 2. Now, if you are going to represent the electric field and magnetic field in their phasor form, and the time dependence would be replaced by e to the power j omega t, we can apply this phasor representation into Maxwell's equation as follows. Here, the derivative with respect to the time would correspond this term, the phasor quantity. It doesn't depend on the time, so it is constant with respect to the time. The time dependence is e to the power j omega t. The derivative of e to the power j omega t with respect to time equals j omega multiplied by e to the power j omega t. So, in time harmonic fields, the time derivative would correspond or would be equivalent to multiplication by j omega. So, we can replace any partial by partial t by j omega. So, instead of minus partial by partial tb, we can say that it's minus j omega b. Okay? On the other hand, the phasor quantity E and the phasor quantity B and the phasor quantity M are depending on x, y, z only. So, in this case, by removing e to the power j omega t, e to the power j omega t, e to the power j omega t, in all terms, we can eliminate e to the power j omega t from all elements. So, we are talking about the rotation of the phasor of the electric field. Rotation here is an operator on space only. So it is the derivative with respect to x, derivative with respect to y, derivative with respect to z. So we are talking about derivative in space, operating on the phasor quantity, which is function of space, equal minus j omega. J omega here replacing the derivative with respect to the time, multiplied by b. B here is the phasor of the magnetic flux density, which is function of x, y, z only, not function of t. Minus m is the equivalent magnetic current as a phasor as a function of x, y, z only. Effectively, e to the power j omega t has been eliminated from all parts. I have taken it into consideration in the derivative only, and it is replaced by minus j omega. Okay? In a similar way, we say that curl h was equal partial d by partial t plus j. In a phasor form, it would be curl the phasor h equal j omega the phasor d plus j. Here divergence d, divergence b would be the same because there is no derivative with respect to time. So this is the effective of Maxwell's equation in phasor form for time harmonic fields. Keeping in our minds that all these components should be multiplied by e to the power j omega t and taking the real value to obtain the instantaneous field quantities. Instantaneous field quantities means that the field as a function of x, y, z and t. Here the phasors are function of x, y, z only. So these equations are not time dependent. These equations are spatial dependent only. And effectively, these equations are the equations that we are going to use. Why? Because we are going to solve Maxwell's equation for a specific frequency. We are not going to solve it in a general time domain form. So we are going to use the time harmonic representation or the phase of time harmonic representation of Maxwell's equation. Now, what will be the case of the electric flux density and magnetic flux density inside specific material? Inside any material, the electric field introduces what we are calling polarization. So, for a dielectric material, an applied electric field causes polarization of atoms or molecules of the material. This polarization creates electric dipole moment. And this electric dipole moment changes the total electric flux density or electric flux displacement. So the total flux density inside a dielectric material equals epsilon E, the flux density due to the free space, plus the polarization inside the material. The polarization inside the material, if I'm talking about linear material, is proportional to the applied electric field. And the proportionality factor in this case equal xi multiplied by epsilon naught, where epsilon naught is the permittivity of the free space, and xi here is known as the electric susceptibility of the material. So the total electric flux density inside the electric material can be represented as epsilon naught E plus the polarization. So the polarization is epsilon naught xi E. So in this case, the total electric flux density D would be epsilon naught multiplied by 1 plus xi E multiplied by the electric field. The value of 1 plus xi E will be defined as the relative permittivity of the material, and the relative permittivity of the material multiplied by the permittivity of the free space would correspond to the permittivity of the material, which corresponds to epsilon. And epsilon in general is a complex quantity. It has a real part and imaginary part. So epsilon is epsilon dash minus j epsilon double dash, where epsilon dash is the real part of the permittivity and epsilon double dash is the imaginary part of the permittivity. And it should be noted that the imaginary part of the permittivity must be negative, assuming that the time harmonic field is e to the power j omega t. Okay? On the other hand, if we are looking at the current density inside the material, the current density, it would equal the conductivity of the material multiplied by the applied electric field. So J equals sigma multiplied by T. By collecting these pieces together in the first equation of Maxwell equation or in the second equation of Maxwell equation, we say that curl H, the rotation of the magnetic field, equal J omega T plus J. This is Maxwell equation of the phasors in time harmonic fields. Right? Now, we are going to replace D by epsilon E. And we are going to replace J by sigma E. And in this case, this epsilon can be replaced by epsilon dash minus J epsilon double dashes. So this would be J omega epsilon dash E. J multiplied by minus J would be 1. So omega epsilon double dashes E plus sigma E. So effectively, the contribution or the effect of the imaginary part of the permittivity is equivalent to the effect of the conductivity of the material. So both of them are real and they are positive. Okay? Or in other words, we can take J omega as a common factor. So we can say that J omega multiplied by epsilon dash minus J epsilon double dash minus J sigma over omega multiplied by E. Here I have taken omega as a common factor from all these items. So this is the total term. Effectively, the first term here corresponds to the equivalent displacement current. And second term here, this corresponds to the conduction current. And the conduction here is coming from two parts. One from the conductivity and one from the imaginary part of the permittivity. So we are going to assume that, or to define that, omega epsilon double dash plus sigma as the total effective conductivity of the medium. And the ratio of the conduction current to the displacement current will be defined as the loss tangent. And the definition of tan delta, or the loss tangent, would be omega epsilon double dash plus sigma over omega epsilon dash. So tan delta equal the conduction current to the displacement current. In a similar way, we can say that the total magnetic flux density inside a material equal mu naught H, which is the flux density due to free space, plus the magnetic flux due to the magnetic polarization. So Bm here is the magnetic polarization, and the magnetic polarization would be defined in terms of the applied magnetic field as the magnetic polarization is Xim multiplied by H, where Xim is the complex magnetic susceptibility. So in this case, we can say that B would equal mu naught plus 1, mu naught multiplied by 1 plus Xim multiplied by the magnetic field H. So 1 plus Xim here is the relative permeability of the material, and mu naught multiplied by 1 plus Xim would equal mu, which is the total permeability of the material. Once again, the permeability in this case would be a complex quantity, so it would be mu dash minus J mu double dash, and once again, assuming that the time harmonic field is e to the power j omega t, this should be minus j. Okay. In general, the permeability or even the permittivity, it can be a single quantity in the case of isotopic material, or it can be a tensor in the case of an isotopic material. So magnetic material can be or may be anisotropic. In this case, the equivalent permeability would be a tensor quantity. So means that the magnetic flux density in x direction equal mu xx multiplied by the magnetic field in x direction plus mu xy multiplied by the magnetic field in y direction plus mu xz multiplied by the magnetic field in z direction. So the magnetic flux in x direction in this case does not depend only on the magnetic field in x direction, it depends on the magnetic field in x, y, and z directions too. In a similar way, the magnetic flux in y direction would equal mu yx multiplied by the magnetic field in x direction plus mu yy multiplied by the magnetic field in y direction plus mu yz multiplied by the magnetic field in z direction. In a similar way, we can say that the dielectric material has a tensor relative or tensor permittivity. So The permeability or the permittivity can be tensor quantity for the case of an isotropic material. And an isotropic material, we mean that uh, the dependence of the flux or the is not directly related to the field. So the field component is not one to one, not x to x, y to y, z to z. No, in this case we say that the fields in x has a contribution in x. In addition, it has a contribution in y. In addition, it has a contribution in z direction. Effectively, this tensor permeability or anisotropic magnetic material are very important in microwave engineering, in ferrimagnetic materials known as ferrite, and effectively we have a complete chapter in this book about ferrite material with this anisotropic permeability. Okay, all right. So by applying the definition of the permittivity and permeability, we can represent Maxwell's equation in linear medium in time harmonic field as follows. In terms of Maxwell's equation was related, the electric field related to the magnetic flux density, and the magnetic field is related to the electric flux density. But the electric flux density can be represented in the case of linear medium as epsilon multiplied by the electric field. And the magnetic flux density can be represented as mu multiplied by the magnetic field. So in the case of a linear medium, we are going to replace B and D by their equivalent electric and magnetic fields. So in this case, curl E would be minus j omega mu h minus m, and curl h would be j omega epsilon e plus j, and divergence d would be rho, or it can be represented as the divergence of epsilon e equal rho. And in a special case, if epsilon is independent on space or constant at the space, so we can see the divergence of the electric field would equal rho over epsilon. And here the divergence of B equals 0. So we can say that the divergence of mu multiplied by h would equal 0. And in a special case, if the medium is constant, so mu is independent on the space, so we can say the divergence of h would equal 0. And it should be noted here that epsilon and mu may be complex values or maybe tensor values. So we are talking about general mu in general case, but only our condition here we are talking about linear medium, such that D is proportional to E direct. Effectively, there are other non-linear medium where D would be proportional to E plus E squared plus E cubed plus. So this is what we are calling non-linear medium, and effectively this is out of our scope in this textbook. Okay. All right.